Jambo. I'm Lenrod Nzulu Baraka, founder of Afro-Caribbean Spiritual Teaching Center and Children of Kush publications. These two organizations are dedicated to producing a paradigm shift in Black thought. Afro-Caribbean Spiritual Teaching Center and Children of Kush publications seek to achieve their objectives through the creation of video material that is shared on YouTube and other online platforms, the circulation of print articles in the Caribbean, the wider African diaspora, and on the continent of Africa, and the publication and marketing of a series of books entitled Secrets Your Church Won't Tell You. Convinced that people of African ancestry have been robbed of their history, culture, language, religion, and ancestral homeland, Afro-Caribbean Spiritual Teaching Center and Children of Kush publication seek to challenge people of African ancestry to think outside the box of Eurocentric thought. As a free thinker, I encourage people of African ancestry to ask hard questions and find answers to the difficult questions of origin, purpose, and destiny. I challenge people of African ancestry to think beyond the answers supplied by the same people responsible for our centuries of humiliation, oppression, and exploitation. As our great ancestor Malcolm X said, "A man who will not treat you right will not teach you right." It is my hope that by the end of this and other series, people of African ancestry will be more open to the idea that the Abrahamic faiths have been derailed and made to serve a purpose that is incompatible with the best principles expounded by the Christ in the Gospels. A great coming out is therefore needed as people of African ancestry part company with the derailed forms of the Abrahamic faith. This great coming out was championed by men like Marcus Garvey in his Back to Africa movement, Bob Marley singing Exodus movement of Jah people, Elijah Muhammad, Minister Farrakhan, and Malcolm X, whose emphasis was always on separation, not integration. As a corollary to this great coming out from the Abrahamic faith, I believe that a new spiritual paradigm is needed that will help the global Black collective to navigate the uncertainty that the future will no doubt press upon us. I'll take a break at this point, but when I come back, I will dive right into our topic for this session. So don't go away, I'll be right back. Let's begin this presentation by going back to a text we looked at in the second presentation in this series. Revelation chapter 13 introduces two beasts. We've already met the first beast as described in Revelation chapter 13 and verse 2. This beast that rises out of the sea has 7 heads upon which are written the names of blasphemy. This beast was like a leopard with bear's feet and the mouth of a lion. The description of this first beast in Revelation chapter 13 brings to mind a genetic experiment gone really wrong. The big revelation about the composite sea beast in Revelation 13:2, however, is its power source. Revelation 13:2 states that the dragon gives the sea beast its power, seat, and great authority. In presentation 2, I showed that the dragon is a symbol that points to the charming chap with the god fixation, namely Lucifer Morningstar. Whoever or whatever the sea beast symbolizes, it is a proxy system that receives and diverts worship to Lucifer Morningstar. For those who would like to do a deep dive into the sea beasts and the land beasts we will meet shortly, I would recommend the book The Catholic Church, Mystery Babylon and the End of the World by Leonard R Phillips, available from the Amazon Kindle store. It's quite a fascinating read. Revelation 13:4 makes the point that I've been making in all previous presentations, namely, and they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. Clearly, it does not matter if we are dealing with the Jews in the Old Testament, Christians after the death of the apostles, or the last generation in the book of Revelation. Lucifer Morningstar somehow seems to emerge as the main object of worship. Whenever the Jews lapsed into open idolatry, they were given worship to Lucifer Morningstar. Whenever the Jews entertained false conceptions about the deity Jesus came to reveal, they were worshipping, you guessed it, Lucifer Morningstar. When apostate Christians at the Council of Nicaea and Constantinople invented a new Jesus who was co-eternal, co-equal, co-evil, and consubstantial with his Father, and embraced a new deity called God the Holy Spirit, they were worshipping at the throne of Lucifer Morningstar. When Seventh-day Adventists, who make the bold claim of being the movement called into existence by the God of Jesus, to finish the work of reform started by Martin Luther, John Calvin, and the rest of the Protestant Reformation, when Adventists throw their pioneers and prophetess under the bus by embracing the Trinity doctrine, then Seventh-day Adventists, like the rest of apostate Christianity, have joined in the worship of, you guessed it, Lucifer Morningstar. When the whole world wanders after the beasts in the book of Revelation, the whole world then can be said to be following in the footsteps of religious authorities who have learned how to worship at the throne of Lucifer Morningstar. Dig a little deeper into Revelation 13 and meet the second beast. The second beast comes up out of the earth, and unlike the sea beast that has 7 heads and 10 horns, this land beast has 2 horns like a lamb. When the second beast begins to speak, it is clear, however, who is large and in charge of the second beast. The dragon or Lucifer Morningstar is the power behind the second beast as well. Revelation 13 verse 12 says, the second beast exercises all the power of the first beast and leads the whole world into worshipping the first beast, which seemed to have lost its position of dominance for a period of time. The second beast that speaks like a dragon is largely responsible for restoring the first beast to its position of international power. Revelation 13:13 informs us that the second beast is a great miracle working power. This beast makes fire come down from heaven to earth in the sight of men. Those familiar with the Old Testament would remember that fire from heaven was the sign that showed who was the real deity in the days of Elijah, who also brought down fire from heaven. Clearly, the 2 beasts in Revelation 13 are proxies used by Lucifer Morningstar to convince the whole world that he is the true God and therefore worthy of worship. In Matthew chapter 7 verses 17 and 18 we read, even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth corrupt fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Religions and churches that engage in genocide, ethnic cleansing, land grabbing, slavery, human trafficking, persecution of their competitors, and death threats against apostates cannot be said to be bearing good fruit. When Christian leaders in Europe backed Columbus and the conquistadors in their campaigns of rape, plunder, and murder in the New World, they were not bearing good fruit. When Christians built chapels in Ghana over the dungeons used to house enslaved Africans, awaiting shipment across the Atlantic to the hellhole called plantations, they were not bearing good fruit. Lucifer was large and in charge when churches took up the sword against its enemies, when churches established courts to try and punish heretics, when women were burned at the stake for being nonconformists, when Christians persecuted Jews in Europe culminated in the Jewish Holocaust, we could be certain that Lucifer was large and in charge. When Christians and Muslims fought each other in the Crusades, when Christians enslaved black Africans initiating the Black Holocaust, when Christians supported Adolf Hitler, Mussolini, Trump, Bolsonaro, when Christians support homophobia, racism and sexism, then we can be certain that Lucifer is large and in charge. Embracing false gods and false concepts of God are just two of the ways in which churches and religions show unmistakably who is worshipping at Lucifer's throne and who is not. How ironic it is that the same people who went around the world condemning other cultures as satanic, demonic, and Luciferian are now being shown up to have been worshipping at Lucifer's throne all along. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. Now, this is the last presentation in this current video series. If I've succeeded in challenging your thinking in this series, then my research, writing, and video editing skills were not wasted. I fully realize that closed minds are still the hardest things to open. A brain is just a brain until it is fortified with knowledge, then it becomes a mind. I'm Lenrod Nzulu Baraka, founder of Afro-Caribbean Spiritual Teaching Center and Children of Kush publication, reminding you that just because you say you have an open mind, that does not mean that you should always have an open mouth. Asante sana na kwaheri, which is Kish Swahili for thank you very much and goodbye.